Sith artifacts, sometimes known and referred to as Sith treasures, were priceless, dark-side-infused items, ancient in their creation, dating back hundreds of thousands of years to the days of the Sith species, the rules of kings such as King Adas, and many before him. Their creation, but invaluable to the Darksiders for the potency and unique interaction with the dark side of the Force, infused with it by the creators and formers of these great artifacts and treasures. Sith artifacts encompass a variety of wide Sith creations, including Sith spellbooks, Sith amulets and talismans, many of which were formed by Darth Endedu, a Sith Lord that ruled many thousands of years before the Clone Wars, and was the pioneer of the essence transferability, ones that Sith for millennia after would learn to use and learn to manipulate in order to channel their life essence after death. Sith Holocron, Sith swords, Sith scrolls, or tomes also fell into this variety of Sith artifacts. Sith amulets were also one of these. They could grant the wielder the ability to read and understand ancient Sith texts, which is how Satao Keto learned to read the Sith magic book he stole. In combat, Sith amulets were devastating to any light side acolyte that came up against their tyrannical beam, capable of conduiting and channeling dark side power into beams of lethal and nigh unblockable energy to be blasted outwards from the wielder's hands. Some amulets were protective, such as the Gauntlet of Kresh the Younger, or talismans that could repel weapon fire, force effects, or even that of the lightsabers, depending on the focus and strength of the wearer. The Sith Amulet of Lord Rin Shuir could be used to heal grave wounds. Sith amulets can generate images like a holo projector. Gav Daragon once used an amulet given to him by the Dark Lord Nagasado, a Sith that ruled thousands of years before the Clone Wars, and was the Dark Lord of the Sith, reigning after the Golden Age of the Sith was ended by the death of Marka Ragnos. Sadao used this to record a message with the Force-projected images for his sister Jory, and Exar Kun applied this ability to show his group of Jedi defectors a Force-projected image of how Kun destroyed Freda Nad, an ancient Sith spirit and Exar Kun's old master. An amulet belonging to the Dark Lord Khan, a Sith that was alive during the Darth Bane era and just shy of the Rule of Two era of Sith, and was a victim of the Thought Bomb alongside General Hoth, ended up being integrated into a globe of the later Dark Lord Darth Vader. The Amulet of Calara was another Sith amulet, found by Jedi Knight Ben Skywalker, whose powers and abilities were unknown. Sith artifacts or relics were items, often ancient and historic, created or used by the Sith Order and species, a sect of malevolent Force sensitives that developed a strong attunement to the dark side of the Force, studying alchemy, sorcery, and magic in depth. Close proximity to such items could affect people, such as bolstering their Force sensitivity, but ridding them of all their looks and natural appeal. It also could corrupt and completely twist the wielder, bending them to the will of whoever had created it. It could even create a wellspring of dark side energy, of evil power that gathered together in a full form of dark side power, one conduit vessel to carry the power of the entire Sith and dark side religion. Darth Sidious, a Sith master who ultimately became the supreme ruler of the Galactic Empire, just above Darth Vader, collected such artifacts during the Clone Wars. Part of his collection was stored in the Grand Republic Medical Facility, though a variety of items, like the Sith Chalice, were located in the office Sidious used as Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine. It should be noted that Jedi regularly visited these chambers, such as Mace Windu, Sei Tin, Aegon Kolar, Grandmaster Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Anakin Skywalker, meaning that Sidious was not able to cloud his own dark side persona, but also the persona of these great artifacts. After he became Emperor, most of his artifacts were moved to the Imperial Palace, although many others were stored inside his luxury pleasure craft, the Imperialis. Notable Sith artifacts included the Sith Chalice, the Great Crystal of Antonani, various Sith scrolls, the Mask of Viceroy Exim Panchard, Darth Sidious's spirit runes, and the Mask of Lord Momin, a dark side mask that would be gifted to Darth Vader as the first and last gift that Darth Sidious would ever present his Padawan with during the early reign of the Empire. However, all of these artifacts, despite their tremendous power, fall short of the one we will be discussing today, a Sith artifact that was founded at 5,000 or perhaps even longer years before the events of the movies and the Battle of Yavin in 0 BBY. This Sith talisman was unlike any other, being able to utterly dominate and enslave the wearer to its will, and encase the spirit of one of the original dozen Jedi exiles within it, who were exiled along with Ajunta Pol for studying in the ways of alchemy. What we will be looking at today, acolytes in the far, far away, we will be looking at the Muur Talisman. Canis Muur requested I create this, but it shall be my triumph. My experimentation with the heart of Grosh and my alchemic mastery of raising Sith spawn will culminate in the first great amulet to be worn by one of the Lords of the Sith. Such words of wisdom were transcribed into history by one of the first Dark Lords of the Sith to ever live, being the Dark Lady Saw Sin, one of the original 12 Jedi exiles to be exiled to Korriban, and one of the most powerful of these exiles, being in the conversation with the power of the Sith Lords Ajunta Pol, the High General and leader of the Sith at that point, and Canis Muur, the bearer of the Muur Talisman. The Muur Talisman was one of the 3 great amulets created by the Sith Lord Saw Sin, designed for a fellow Lord Canis Muur, who reigned supreme along with Ajunta Pol and Saw Sin over the Sith people and their dark Jedi underlings. The talisman had the ability to turn other beings into mindless thralls and extensions of Canis Muur's will that were at the possessor's command. It was a powerful object of great antiquity and mentioned in many Sith Holocrons dating from before the Golden Age of the Sith. It should be noted that the Golden Age of the Sith was the reign of Marka Ragnos, one of the most powerful Sith Lords to ever live, born with a unique and innate ability to touch the Force and an efficiency with the dark side. Marka Ragnos' rule was eventually ended, as he died when he was around a century old and was succeeded by the Dark Lord Nagasado. At some point, the talismans were buried under the undercity of the planet Taris until 3965 BBY, when the Mandalorian Pulsifer led an excavation party to retrieve it. Upon its exposure to the world, the talisman latched onto the female Jedi Master Celeste Morn and began to corrupt her before Jedi Padawan Zane Carrick sealed her and the talisman in the Drepa's Elway, where they both remained for 4,000 years until 19 BBY. And also, the 19 BBY was the event of Order 66 and the Great Jedi Purge, the second Jedi Purge, in fact. Now, we will delve into the ancient history of this artifact, this talisman that was renowned as one of the most dangerous and powerful talismans to ever live, and could still be roaming around the Star Wars galaxy somewhere. Now, we will begin with the history and origins of the Muur Talisman. The Sith alchemist Saw Sin created the Muur Talisman for the Sith Lord Canis Muur, her fellow Dark Lord of the Sith that ruled at her and Ajunta Pol's side, to enable him to create Rakghouls and to sustain his essence well after his physical demise, granting him spiritual immortality and, in a way, eternal life. This proves that all Sith, like Darth Plagueis and Darth Vitiate, were on the right track with regards to prolonging their life and seeking immortality. When his physical body died, Canis Muur figured out that the talisman would seek out the most powerful user to act as his vessel and conduit his immense dark side prowess. For centuries, the Muur Talisman remained in obscurity. Many Sith Lords, including the likes of Naga Sadow, tore at each other to find and claim its power for themselves, hoping to rejuvenate them on the limitless dark side energy and power that Canis Muur presented. But the talisman was never found, as if the Force itself did not want it to be found. Not yet. At some point, its last owner had been crushed in a cave-in in the undercity of Taris, where the talisman remained for at least hundreds of years, spreading the Rakghoul plague amongst the outcasts. As of the year 3963 BBY, the Jedi Covenant speculated that the talisman could be located in Taris' undercity. Jedi Master Zamar of the First Watch Circle was attempting to locate the artifact, where they were forced to leave the planet following Zane Carrick's escape. Now we will move on to its rediscovery and how it was rediscovered by the Jedi. Later, after the Mandalorian invasion of Taris, the Covenant witnessed a vision of impending doom related directly to the Talisman and Zane, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and Cade Skywalker, perhaps three of the most integral figures and important figures in the entirety of galactic history, was in a horrifying vision that would lead the Jedi Masters to slay their own Padawans. Celeste Morn, after this horrifying vision, was sent to continue the search on Taris for the ancient Darkside relic, but arrived just in time to witness a Mandalorian excavation party led by Pulsifer to retrieve the talisman. They succeeded, and the talisman, after millennia of being lost, was finally found. Pulsifer headed for Jebel, and before he landed, he opened the case holding the talisman of Karnus Mur. Under the hidden eyes of Celeste Morn, Zane Carrick and Marn Heograph, stowaways on the Pulsifer's ship, the Mark Isai, Pulsifer stated his theories that the key to the Force are the objects, not the people, and planned on unlocking the device's power to negate the Jedi's powers and further influence their victory. Celeste tried to make him throw it out of the airlock and destroy the talisman once and for all, and doing so Karnus Mur's spirit, but under the talisman's influence he was able to counter her mind trick. It attached to Pulsifer's arms like a spider and began controlling him, even turning him on a fellow Mandalorian, leaving some glowing red marks on his comrade's armor as if his wounds were infused with the dark side energy that Karnus Mur had projected. It began controlling him, turning his mind to mush, and he began to accept the spirit of Karnus Mur. Those marks later turned to the Mandalorian into a Rakghoul, and the plague spread like a virus throughout the Mandalorian ranks. The Rakghoul plague spread faster than usual, transforming the victims into smarter, organized Rakghouls, wearing Neo-Crusader armor, and using weapons against Zane and Celeste as the two Jedi attempted to stop the plague and warn the Mandalorians and Republic of the threat of this new antagonist, and the Rakghoul Mandalorian army that could very well overwhelm the Republic. When Pulsifer captured Zane to interrogate him for the talisman's secret, it sensed the Padawan's innate force sensitivity. The talisman instantaneously detached from the Mandalorian, turned the Rakghouls on the Pulsifer, and attempted to attach itself to Zane. As Celeste struggled to pry off the talisman to save Zane, she called out to the talisman's attention by telling it he was a Jedi. Immediately, the talisman, the spirit of Karnus Mur encrusted within it, attached itself to her neck. In that moment, Celeste saw Mur's spirit appear where he told her that he was the future and she was now his. Celeste then discovered that the talisman gave her an ability to control the Rakghouls, acting as their emperor and supreme commander in the decades and even centuries to come. Celeste began to fall under the talisman's evil thrall and corruption, and sensed the plague's immense potential, along with the presence of the spirit of Karnus Mur in the talisman, dwelling there, waiting forever patiently in search of a new force-sensitive entity for him to dominate. She pleaded with Zane to end her life while she could still control herself, but the rogue Padawan had a better idea. He enclosed Celeste in an Amulet of the Sith Reaper, hoping to bring her Covenant researchers to Aldrin to remove the talisman. However, Casus Fett bombarded Jebel with nuclear missiles, and Zane presumed Celeste dead and the talisman destroyed. The Jedi Covenant assumed Zane was corrupted by the talisman and killed Celeste. I can feel the change inside me. Please, Zane, end it now. Such words of plead were said by Celeste Moore. It almost makes you feel sorry for falling under the thrall of an ancient Dark Lord. Well, if you didn't already. If you didn't, then something's wrong with you. When Zane and his friends journeyed to the planet Aldrin, Jarael, disguised as Celeste Moore, and the Molmo brothers pretended to carry the Mur talisman in order for them, Zane and Griff, to gain entrance to the Sanctum of Exalted. A replica of the talisman containing Zane's lightsaber was crafted to improve on the image that Zane was a Dark Jedi and not an actual Knight of the Jedi Order like he claimed to be. When Zama brought him to the Dre estate, however, Hazine immediately saw through the charade that was laid down by the Momo brothers. 4 millennia later, in 1400 BBY, the Oblate was found by the ice miners of Jebel. It was passed down by many owners, through blood and training, before it came into the hands of the crew of the Yumli, who were willing to trade it. but the talisman and its wearer were freed from stasis by Dark Lord of the Sith and newly christened Darth Vader, who was looking for a way to overthrow the Galactic Emperor in Sheev Palpatine. But Celeste Morn attacked Vader without a second thought, and, using the power of the talisman and Karnus Mur's spirit, turned his clone troopers to Rakghouls, forcing Vader to escape and lead Celeste along with the Rakghouls and the spirit of Karnus Mur on an unknown moon that even to this day we do not know the location of. Yes! Yes! Kill her! Take my talisman for your own. You sense that power that could be yours. Take it! Karnus Mur beckoned to Darth Vader, begging him to take the talisman from the decaying corpse of Celeste Morn and reclaim his position as the ruler of the Sith Order, overthrow Palpatine, and have Darth Vader as his new minion. He would rule the galaxy if his plan succeeded. Another century later, the talisman had stayed on Celeste's neck for a very long time, even right into her trip into the deep core. She was determined to make sure that the talisman possessed no one else and ended with her. Thus, she eventually used its powers once again when she joined Cade Skywalker's entourage to kill the Dark Lord of the Sith and reigning ruler of the One Sith, Darth Krayt, formerly known as Ashrat Het, the Jedi Master. She turned many Imperials at the Had Abaddon base into Rakghouls to act as her bodyguard while they waited for nigh undefeatable Sith Lord Darth Krayt to answer their challenge, believing that with Cade Skywalker, Karnus Mur, and Celeste Morn's combined might, they could overthrow Darth Krayt and plunge the galaxy back into an era of peace. Mur, in the meantime, played with the minds of her companions, giving Shaddao Vow a vision of him slaying Celeste Morn, and the talisman possessing him, giving him the spirit and power of Karnus Mur. Emperor Roan Fel desired the talisman to further his goals, but a few of his Jedi Knights were losing faith in him. Soon, Mur's whispering annoyed Cade to the point where he threatens to send Celeste and the talisman into a black hole if they continued to murder and toy with his mind. Krayt took the bait and travelled to Had Abaddon with his most trusted esquire of Sith Lords. The resulting battle saw the mortal wounding of Darth Krayt and his severe injury, and the death of Celeste Morn. With Morn dead, the talisman attached itself to Cade Skywalker, spidering up his arm and preparing Karnus Mur to be finally in his grasp. Finally, Karnus Mur would return to the galaxy and spread his infestation of darkness across it, unveiling the galaxy in a shroud of black and dark side power. But Cade proved to be above its influence and above the will and might of Karnus Mur, and used the Force to destroy it, using his Shatterpoint ability, and Mur forever resulting in the extinction of the Rakghouls and the end of the Rakghoul plague across the galaxy. But well, my friends, that was the complete history explained of the Muur Talisman, the ancient dark side relic that plagued the galaxy for around 6,000 years, or 6 millennia if you want to be that person. The Muur Talisman is undoubtedly my favourite Sith artifact, and Karnus Mur is my favourite one of the Dark Jedi, the original exiles that were exiled from the Jedi Order and taken to Korriban for studying alchemy. It should be noted that Muur's talisman presented and portrayed a wide array of dark side practices and abilities through the use of dark side alchemy. Any non-force sensitive that was struck with the talisman became infected with the Rakghoul plague and transformed more quickly than from Rakghoul bites in the Undercity of Taris. In addition to this, under the command by a force user, the talisman could transform into Rakghouls or suitable beings in much wider radiuses. The power of the talisman also allowed its claws to become legs for mobility and bound itself to anyone who called to it. The talisman also stopped all aging on its host, as exemplified by the lack of aging on the part of Celeste Morn from 19 BBY to 137 BBY. But the greatest secret concerning the talisman was that it housed the spirit of the legendary Sith Lord and my favourite of the original Dark Jedi exiles, being Karnus Mur, a being who could speak to nearby Force sensitives and begin to corrupt them, appearing as an apparition in their mind and a spectre of dark side energy to whoever was possessed by the talisman, slowly bending him to his will. But this is not the end of Karnus Mur's story, and the story of the Muur Talisman. in the next few days. In the next few videos, we will be delving into the story and complete life of Canis Muur himself, delving into the story of my favorite one of the original Dark Jedi, and studying the ancient texts and manuscripts of the Sith in order to uncover our vast array of knowledge. Now, it should be noted that our video has reached its end, and while I am sad to forbid you from going any further, I must inquire that you hit the subscribe button and dock at the like button. Ensure that the subscribe button has been properly force crushed. Ensure that it has gone from a measly red colour into a perpetual dark grey colour. Join us tomorrow as we delve into the life of Canis Muur and his great dense legends, the Sith Lord that survived through the reign of the original Dark Jedi, the millennia-long rule of the Sith Emperor Vitiate, and into the era of Darth Krayt's Sith Empire. That will be all, acolytes. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the galaxy far, far away.